Alright, so today we're going to talk about Jermaine Cole, J. Cole. This guy is he's part of the three-headed monster. Him, Drake, and Kendrick for sure. This guy has been in the game for over 10 years now, about 12 years. He's been going so strong since he came out pretty much. He's been near the top of the game every year. And still to this day now, he's still part of that three. And what I love about him is that he's one of the few that have been able to keep gaps between their projects but still keep the fans entertained enough, and that's through the content of his music. I think any rapper that's got content and substance, they're afforded a bit more time to deliver their projects, which is something that I like. But I think with him, what I like about Cole is that you can see that his mind works all the time and he's very well thought out. He's very thoughtful. So delving into the psyche of someone like that, I think is going to be quite useful to kind of see what he used to get the success, how his thought process has changed from earlier on to now, and how he's kind of used that to help maintain his fame. Because if you watch his interviews before Forest Hills Drive, he had one mentality. Then I'll say after that, he kind of switched and he became a lot more chilled and a lot more self-aware. So it's kind of interesting just dissecting those different parts of his career, kind of seeing where his mind changed. In this first clip, we've got Cole talking about taking every opportunity and putting your best foot forward.
I think I used to start the shows with an acapella. I'll be telling artists that like starting out, like, yo, when you come out, nobody knows you. Don't expect them to know you. Don't do your show like they know you. Like, come on, y'all, put your fucking hands up. Why am I gonna put my hands up? I don't even know who you are. So I used to come out like, I know y'all don't know me. I didn't say shit. I used to just rap right there, do an acapella. My best acapella, my best 16, do it.
Do you remember what it was?
I don't remember what it was. I don't remember what it was. It's probably on video. But just the mind state of like, I gotta grab y'all attention because while they allowing me to be out here, I'm gonna try to leave with as many fans as I can. You know what I mean? So that when I come back, y'all come see me, or when I drop the warm up, y'all check it out. So that was the mind state of opening up for Wale.
Yeah, so I really like that clip, man. We got Cole talking about kind of taking your opportunity. I think we can talk about this in terms of rap, but we can relate it to so many other things in life. But with his specific example, I think the fact that he only had a few people on stage, I think it was important that to grab their attention, he needed to do an a cappella or something like that just to showcase his skills and give them that best impression of him. Just because even though it feels like, okay, I'm opening up for someone else, these fans probably won't even support me anyway, I'm not going to take it seriously. Instead of having that mindset, he had the opposite mindset and he wanted to put his best foot forward to make sure that even if he got one fan from each time that he opened up, eventually those would accumulate into a bigger audience. And it did, as for his first album he had massive numbers, even though he didn't have a lead single that was doing well at that time. And I think we can relate that to our real lives in terms of, let's say for example, you've got a job as a substitute teacher, for instance. You know that they haven't given you an offer for a permanent job, but what you can do, instead of thinking, oh, I'm just a substitute teacher, I'm just going to do an okay job here and there because I know I won't be long term. Instead of doing that, you do the opposite. Put your best foot forward, work really hard to get the kids' attention, make sure they're engaged. And more often than not, there are times where you get those lucky breaks where, you know what, you've done a good job, I'm going to give you the full job now. So I think, yeah, that's kind of what Cole was saying. Seize the opportunity, put your best foot forward to just leave that lasting impression. In the second clip, we've got Cole talking about studying his idols and using them as a muse to become better and improve his craft.
As a rapper, there's very few greats that I studied and I still continue to study, and Nas is obviously one of them. It's obvious. I really had his lyrics printed on my wall. They used to have a site, it was called Ola, original hip hop lyrics, whatever, .com or archive. Yeah, somebody know. And then you print them out. So I would print these joints out and I would print them up and hang them up on my wall. And literally, if you walk in my room, you might be like, what's wrong with this kid? I'm staring at the wall like this, just reading the lyrics because I wanted to know what it was like to be that good. You know what I mean? Like, and I was rapping at the time, so I wanted to know, and it was my goal to be that good. I wanted to somehow try to master the style. I felt like if I read it enough, if I listened, I used to go to sleep listening into I Am. You know, he inspired me to set the bar high, to take that extra time with the lines. You know what I mean? To make the lines wittier, to make my rhyme slicker, the multi-syllables. People.
Studying the artist is key, man. I think as rappers, it can be quite hard. Sometimes. There's a lot of them nowadays are quite arrogant. They've got tunnel vision. So I think with them not having artists to look up to. You see that their craft can get a bit lazy and they do get a bit overconfident and their delivery stays the same. There's not much variety. Whereas you see people like the Coles, the Drakes, the Kendricks, they have people that they look up to like Jay-Z, Nas and all those people. So they've got a bit of a blueprint to go off. So they know that those people above them have set the bar so high that them being students of the game, they have to work so hard to try and even reach halfway to that bar. So I think studying those around you, studying your idols really helps perfect your craft. As we see Cole talked about it here. I mean, his wordplay and taking that extra time to kind of make sure his rhymes are super tight. He got that from Nas, who he was referring to in that clip. But I think if you don't compare yourself to others, eventually you're going to get stagnant. And I think him having that bar, as I keep saying, that has helped him have this 10 to 12 year career for sure. Just having those super high standards and really taking care of his craft and taking that extra time. In this last clip, we've got Cole talking about using his plan B to get to his plan A.
Mine was the opposite. I used my plan B as the tool, as a shift to my plan A. So my plan B was like, well, I'm smart. I know I'm college bound. I don't necessarily plan on using my degree, but I know I'm college bound. I've been thinking about college my whole life. My mom's been instilling that in me. She didn't go to school. She was smart enough to make sure I went. So I'll just use college as a ticket to get to where I think it's at, which is New York City. I had an infatuation with New York City because I took a trip there one time, on a school trip. And I knew as soon as I touched down in New York, it let me know, like, oh, this exists. You know what I mean? Like, this is out in the world. So I used my plan B, which was, worst come to worst, if the rap don't work out, I always have a degree. That was my plan B, was a degree. I used that as a way to get to where the plan A was. So I went to St. John's University in Queens because it was in New York City, and I figured I'd be around the industry, but it did put me where I needed to be and gave me the opportunity to figure this thing out. So I used my plan B to get to plan A.
Man, this is arguably the most pivotal and important video clip that I've seen of any rapper. The reason being because I wouldn't say I 100% agree with the mind state, but I have these back and forths a lot in terms of, okay, do you go all in on a plan A without a plan B, or do you have both? And I think he kind of swayed my mindset a tiny bit, and he actually influenced it where he was very smart, because if you're very smart, what you can do, you can kind of intertwine your plan B and your plan A. So how he kind of talked about, he knew with his plan B, that could relocate him in a place to help his plan A. And he knew that with his plan A, if that didn't work, worst case, he's got the college degree. So that means that he can go as hard as he wants on the plan A. He can do those crazy 25-hour days where you're not sleeping. He can not shower. He can be outside radio stations trying to get signed, because he knows absolute worst case, just goes back to college, gets his degree, and he'll get a job somewhere. So I think sometimes for some people, I would say probably for the majority of people, having that safety net in a way could help them go harder. The only thing with this advice, though, I think in a lot of instances, it does make people go comfortable. So I do agree with it to an extent. I'm still more on the side of going 100% for the A and just making sure that works. But Cole kind of helped me understand that you do need to have a bit of nuance. So I really do appreciate that from Cole. He's very thoughtful.